We're starting the bean protocol by Karen Hurd. I figured we need to learn how to can some beans because I really prefer canned beans, and I'll tell you why. When I can them myself, I soak them in apple cider vinegar overnight with water, of course. It will help make it easier to digest in my stomach. I had to go through an elimination protocol a couple years ago. There were several beans I could not eat. Once I came back from that and my leaky gut was healed, sometimes when I'd go to restaurants, if beans were on the menu for some in a recipe or whatever, my stomach would hurt. When I can my own beans, my stomach does not hurt. So we're going to learn to can our own beans because we're going to make it even easier for our digestive system. Apple cider vinegar helps with digesting beans. When we can our own beans, we soak them overnight in a big pot with water, and we're going to add about 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar to that. This apple cider vinegar will help you with gas and bloating when eating beans because it's going to help break down some of the sugars in the beans before you even can them. Vinegar will help draw out those compounds in the beans that produce gas. The next day when you rinse them before you can them, you're going to strain all that water off. It's not going to be in your jars that you can. So let's start canning some beans. I promise y'all that canning beans is one of the easiest things that you can ever possibly can if you can get over the pressure canner part. I do like to scoop out the beans that float to the top. Sometimes you'll find that. I just think that the can's better that way. I do add the apple cider vinegar. I'm going to stir it up, and then we're just simply going to put the lid on this big pot and let it sit overnight. I like to let them sit like 8 to 12 hours ish. It kind of just depends on my schedule, but at least 8 to 12 hours. The next morning they have absorbed some of the water, and so we're going to drain off all the beans, rinse off that apple cider vinegar really good and that water that they were sitting in overnight, and then we are ready to actually start canning our beans. I have our mixed beans, so they are pinto beans with Great Northern beans, but you can do whatever beans you want because the process is the same if you're just canning plain beans. So we're going to fill our jars up about 1/2 to 3/4, probably about 3/4. Soaked overnight, so we already got part of the digestion down, so it's going to be a little bit easier for our bodies to absorb these beans. Since I soak them, I think I can do 3/4 and then fill it up the rest of the way with water. You can add chicken bone broth to this or whatever other kind of broth that you may have instead of plain water. It's up to you. And then we'll add a little bit of salt as well. I really like using an electric pressure canner. You can use the regular old pressure canners, just whichever one you like. I just like this one by Presto because I can set it and walk away and I don't have to worry about anything happening. I've used it many times. And so I just set them in there, I get it ready and I get it prepped, and we're going to pressure can at 10 pounds of pressure for 75 minutes for these pint jars. Our pressure canner has told us that they are ready and done. The pressure has been released and we're good to open up this pressure canner. So I take out all of these 4 jars and set them on the counter, and they're going to cool overnight. I do not touch the jars if I at all can help it until they are completely cool, usually overnight. And now we have 4 jars, and I'm planning on eating 1 jar a day for my bean diet. What is your plan for your bean diet? Are you going to eat 1 jar a day? Are you going to eat more, less? What are your thoughts? Beans are a very easy way to get that soluble and insoluble fiber we need.